Hey everyone! So I'm back with my final video during my technical difficulties videos. I made a bunch of projects over the last several weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and had problems with videos and stuff, so I didn't get to film the tutorials, but I wanted to come on and show you guys what I made in the meantime. So I have if you've seen any of my other videos, I'm on the Eyelet outlet design team, and this is the first design team I've ever been a part of, and it's been interesting because coming up with ideas with somebody else's products and stuff like that when there's when you're just buying them on your own, it seems like less pressure than when somebody gives them to you and you want to do your best with what they've given you. So each week over at Eyelet Outlet, my day's been assigned as Thursday. So on my blog, you'll see Happy Eyelet Outlet Thursdays on that day of the week over there, and I try to come up with something new and fun every week to show off their products. So 2 Thursdays ago, I decided I was going to do with their new, because they have a new spring brad collection that they released a couple weeks ago, and they have some really cute new brads. So I took them and I decided I was going to do something specifically that Thursday for the new spring brads, and I came up with 3 projects, different styles, showcasing the different brads. So for this one here, I wanted to do a watercolor. I wanted to do, as soon as I seen the Sandcastle brad, how cute is that, and the turtles, I wanted to do something specific for these two together. And I thought of, not something that I see very often in handmade cards, I thought of a retirement card, because everybody knows someone who's going to retire at some point, including yourself. So when I seen those, I thought of what better thing to do when you retire than to relax on the beach, at least to start off your retirement. So I thought beach, I thought sandcastles, and the turtles would be perfect for it. And I thought kind of a relaxed looking style would be watercoloring. Now, I am not a professional watercolor artist. I've only done, I think, watercoloring 3 times in my life, but I wanted to try it anyways. So my most comfortable, because I don't have proper watercolor paints, is to use my inks and put them on my Tim Holtz craft sheet. And I generally, what I do is I take out, I can show you really quick here. I simply take out my ink pads, put them on my Tim Holtz craft sheet, and then what I do is I take my water bottle and I spritz close by. I take my paintbrush, I make that really wet at first, and then I pick up some ink to make it really, really watery. So that's what I do for my watercolor projects, because like I said, I don't have proper watercolor inks yet. I do have my eye on the Primas watercolor confectionery line. I think they're gorgeous. I'd love to try them. So that's what I did with this. So for the palm trees, I used Stampin' Up! Gable green and garden green. And I only use these 2, even though I have different, you can see the different shades of green in amongst them, but all that was watering down these 2 inks more in some brush strokes than others. So I used the garden green and the Gable green for the palm trees leaves. So for the base of them, I used the Primas Shabby Tote. Sorry, no, that's a lie. That's a mistake. For the sand, I used the Shabby Tote for the sand. And the same thing, you can see how it's darker in some spots than others. Same thing, just watered down the brush a little more than other times when I was doing my brush strokes. So for the palm trees, I used the Stampin' Up! Sahara sand and early Espresso. And I did the same thing, a little more heavy in early Espresso for the shadows and the little dark places on the beach there. Just heavier on the Espresso than the Sahara sand. But I use these 2 for this and the palm trees and the the shadows. For the water, I used Pool Party by Stampin' Up. For the sky, watered down Ballet Blue. And I love the Pool Party. It was my first time using that color, but I really love it. I seen a picture online of a beach, and that's what it reminded me of. That was the closest one. It was so nice. So for the sailboat, I just used a little of my dark inks, and then I just used some white gesso for that part. And I didn't want to emphasis on this. I wanted the emphasis on the beach part. So for the hammock, I used my white gel pen, my Jelly Roll white gel pen. I need a really good gel pen, actually. I've seen so many artists and crafters on YouTube with the really nice thick ones that they can shake and use to splatter the ink and everything. I need to get my hands on one of those. So for the congratulations, I used my Phrases for a Friend, and that's by Stampin' Up. And then Let the Relaxation Begin, I actually used I found this stamp set, Studio G. It's made by Hampton Art, but they're called Studio G alphabet stamp set, and I found the uppercase and lowercase sets in a sale bin at Michael's for $1.50 each, which I thought was a great deal for an alphabet set. So I bought the two of them. But for this one, I used all the uppercase for that one. And then came the fun part. It was time to use my brads. So I used 2 of my Sandcastles, 2 of my turtles, because I thought you'd definitely see these on the beach. And I did this on watercolor paper, by the way. I didn't use this on cardstock, regular cardstock. And then I tried to tear it because I wanted to tear the edges and have them flat on the cardstock, and realized how hard watercolor paper is to tear. It's very difficult. So after a few tries, I decided to just go with the distressing. So I used my Tim Holtz distress tool, distressed the sides, and then I just lightly brushed white gesso along the edges. And I like the result. I did try to do the tear thing, but I really like how this turned out, actually. So that was the first card I did for that New Spring Thursday over at Eyelet Outlet. So, oh, by the way, this is actually the brush I used. I don't know why I showed you this one. This is actually the brush I used for, it's number 8, and I don't know how to pronounce their name. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's Daler Rowney or something like that. I have a set of their watercolor brushes, and that's the brush I used for that whole card. So that was the first one. So for the second one, because I wanted to do 3 very different cards, like I said, I wanted to do kind of a mixed media card. So this is my mixed media card for these adorable. These are flamingos, and I love them. They're one of my favorite New Spring brads. They're so cute. So for that one, I wanted to do something fun, and I have this stamp set that I really love from Stampin' Up called My Friend, and I love the hello on this one. Hello, my friend. So I thought of a card for a just because card if you knew that a friend was feeling down or just wanted to say hello. And I thought, even if your friend was feeling down, something bright, colorful, and cheery might be the right idea. So I decided for mixed media to get it with some different supplies that I don't usually use on cards. So I got out my Prima Color Bloom sprays. So I picked out my colors and decided I want a texture first. So for this one, I used the Texture Paste White Crackle by Finnabar. And I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you'll see this. I think this is coming out pretty clear. Okay, I'm trying to show how to get this. This was the stencil I used. It's Mandela from Colorbox, and it's at, I think I got this at scrapbook.com. Or maybe creativeinspirations.ca, I'm not sure, but one of them. Anyways, this was the pattern that I used with the white crackle texture paste. And the funny thing was, when my husband was taking the photos, because he does all my photos, he's a professional photographer. When he took the photos, he told me that he had to take them from far back because he was sad to tell me that my swirls had cracked somehow, and he didn't want them to show up on the photos. He didn't realize that there was such thing as white crackle texture paste. So I showed it to him and we had a good laugh at it. So when he understood it was the point, then he didn't mind taking the pictures up close. So I used that with the texture paste. And then I decided to do 3 colors. So the colors that I originally chose were Boysenberry. For this side, I want it yellow, nice and bright. So it's the Sunshine Spray Mist. And I used, because I love this color, the Lime Wedge is what I used for the 3 colors. Unfortunately, when they dried, I wasn't really impressed with the Lime Wedge with these 2 colors to match the flamingos. So I added the Emerald Spray Mist over top of the Lime Wedge. And then when I had them sprayed each time, I sprayed them with water. Once they were sprayed with water, I would turn the card different ways and let it run and let them blend along the edges on their own and stuff. And I really like that. So after I let that dry for a good while, I used my embossing buddy from Stampin' Up to emboss, to clean up the area around here where I was going to stamp. And I stamped my hello and my friend on here and turned the paper over, flicked it a few times, and when I turned it over, it was the worst mess I've ever seen with embossing powder. I couldn't believe how bad it was. I do live up north here in Canada, and I know it's cold, and I know I need a humidifier in here, so it probably didn't help because everything in here is like static cling. But even with my like paintbrush trying to clean up the areas along the edges and stuff like that, it was taking forever. So I had an idea. Once I cleared up what I could that I was happy enough with, I decided to flick some black gesso across everything. That way, and I used my fan brush for that. That way, with the black gesso everywhere, you didn't notice the embossing powder that was loose and stuck onto the card. And then, of course, after I did the black, I did the white as well to give it some extra texture. And I actually was pretty happy with the result. I didn't mind the black in it after. And after I got that done and everything was dry, I took 2 chipboard pieces. Now, I used to go to a lot of garage sales for where I lived for scrapbooking supplies. There was a woman who owned a store. She doesn't have it anymore there. And once a summer, she would have a Saturday where she would invite crafters to bring their stuff to her store, and they would have a great big scrapbooking sale, and each woman would be designated a specific spot, and they would have their area, and then you'd buy from them. And everybody was color coded, and it was very organized, and so people got a chance to mix and match their stuff and get rid of stuff and buy some new stuff from somebody else, which I thought was great, because if you were tired of using the same thing over and over and you wanted to change, you could sell that and then see somebody else's that they probably felt the same, and then you could buy theirs for cheap. So I got these chipboard flowers. I don't know if any of you recognize them. This is from this same woman who sold different, there's all different kinds in here. And so I picked the 2 that I wanted for this. if any of you recognize that and want to message me and tell me what it is, that'd be great for future projects so I know what to call them. They were just in a loose bag or they were actually, some of them were still in the chipboard page, and I just popped them out and put them in the Ziploc bag. So I sprayed the large one with the Tangerine Color Bloom Spray Mist, and then the Summer Sky for the smaller one, and I did 3 coats, I think it was, in total for these because I wanted them completely covered. And I did cover them in white gesso first and then sprayed them down. Flicked them with some white gesso after, and the center, nothing worked. I really wanted something, a little bit of bling. So I used the Eyelet outlet. They're the blue jewels, multi blue jewels. Different sizes. You get like 100 in a pack, and there's like 4 different sizes. I think there's 4 different sizes altogether. They're great. So that was the much needed bling that I needed, and it went along really well with my little flamingo. He's the only one I have left, unfortunately, from these guys. So for now, so I used that, and then I laid it down, and I liked the look, but I wanted something in the background. So I added some cheesecloth that I just shredded. So I shredded it really well and put it in the back, and that was this card. So that was my mixed media card for that new spring brad collection. So for the final card, I used these absolutely adorable alien brads. And if you want to see some more projects using these alien brads, if you go over to the blog for Eyelet Outlet, which I will put a link in the description below for. Few of the other women on the design team have done other projects as well for these brads, and they're all different and all adorable. Some of the spaceships are so cute. So for this one here, I wanted to keep this as plain, not plain, but I wanted to keep it colorless because I really wanted these guys to have their spotlight. So I came up with this idea that another card that I don't often see amongst the crafters is a welcome to the neighborhood, or welcome to your new job, or something where somebody's coming in for the first time into a new environment. And I thought it'd be really cute to have the aliens welcoming instead of the other way around, because we're so used to seeing them be welcomed in projects and stuff for fun. So I thought, why not have them welcoming? So for this one, I thought it'd be really cute for a welcome to the neighborhood. I used Tim Holtz Townscape. And the great thing about, one of the great things, because I love the image, but one of the great things about this die is it doesn't cut off completely on the ends. So it's at the top of your page, it cuts off the top of your page in this shape, and then you can have the different lengths on the bottom for your project. So for this one, I just measured about 1.5 inches and put it on the bottom. I flicked some white gesso, so my white gesso with my fan brush across the back for the night sky, and used my for this size for the moon. And I kept everything black and white. For the welcome sign, the banner, I used my image tree dies, alphabet set, and I embossed it. So I used my Versamark and Stampin' Up embossing powder. And I just did it on a random piece of paper, cut out the squares approximately the same size on each one, and then I cut out black a little bigger, and I wanted to add some more interest, so I made sure that when I glued them down they weren't completely even. And just some white thread, I think it's crochet thread I used for the banner there, and then placed the aliens on it. And then for the inside, I use it, and see how I cut this a much different length, so I have place to write a message. And once again, because it doesn't cut off completely, it was great, it could leave it any length I want it. And I added the alien brads again. These little guys sit, which are great for the spaceship, if you want to in a spaceship. And then these little guys are standing, so I put them at odd angles to make them more interesting as well. And then I used my once again, my cheap little alphabet set stamp from Studio G that I got at Michael's. I used that one with my StazOn Black Ink. You'll feel at home in no time. I thought it was a good message for somebody being welcome to a new place. And voila, that was my alien card. So these are my 3 different style cards I made for my Eyelet Outlet Thursday, and they are using all different I can't show you any separate aliens because I've used all my aliens, but I will put a link to the store, so if you want to go check out the brads, and for the blog if you want to see more ideas. So lots of great ideas, different styles, clean and simple, mixed media, watercolor. I wanted to show you what you could do with those products. So have a look, and I'll put the links below so you can check out for yourself, see even more ideas. There's a lot of very talented creative ladies over at Eyelet Outlet blog that from the design team that do wonderful projects every day of the week. So have a great day. I will see you all back here soon. If you're liking my videos, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all again soon. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.